Good afternoon, everybody. Can you guys hear me okay? In the back, you can hear me? Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. Can you hear me okay in Meridian? Thumbs up, wave, awesome. All right. And hopefully, if we have anyone in Anchorage, you can hear me as well. Welcome to the Fall 24 opening assembly. We have a couple of special guests here today, and we're going to start the assembly with them, and then we're going to move through some of our divisional business after that. One of the, okay, it's not advancing. There we go. Craig Chatrand, our Vice President for Student Affairs, is here. And one of the President's initiatives, I think, moving forward, and it's part of our strategic plan, Craig and I were just talking about it, is becoming a Hispanic serving institution. This is very much a growing segment of our student population, obviously a substantial portion of our state's population. And Craig is going to just talk with us a little bit about what it means to become a Hispanic serving institution and some of the needs of students, recruitment strategies, things like that. So join me in welcoming Craig Chatrand to talk about this.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me today. It's a real pleasure to be here and to come talk about something that I am very passionate about. So as Rex said, becoming a Hispanic serving institution, or an HSI, is part of our strategic plan. It's part of an initiative the President wants to keep moving forward with. And while we've done a little bit of work in this area, we have a lot more to do. But I wanted to talk a little bit first about what is a Hispanic serving institution and what does that mean. We already have one HSI in the state of Idaho. The College of Southern Idaho is our first Hispanic serving institution. I think they had that designation about 2 years ago. I think CEI, College of Eastern Idaho, will also be there fairly quickly. But to be designated as a Hispanic serving institution, there's a couple different things that we need to do or have. And the two biggest ones, the number one is 25% of our student body needs to be Hispanic. That's the kind of the biggest target, the biggest marker that would need to happen. And right now, we are just under 16%. I think we're at like 15.6 or 15.7 right now. And so we still have a lot of room to go before we hit that 25%. We're going to get there naturally, whether we try to or not. With the population growth and the different segment of population growth in the state of Idaho, we'll hit that 25%. But instead of getting there just by accident, waking up one day and saying, oh, well, look at our student body has changed. We want to be really intentional about how we do it. And so the students that we bring in are going to be successful here. And with anything, as our student population changes, there's going to be things that we're going to need to do to adapt. And some of that has been with our recruitment strategies and some of the work that Nicole and her team have done. We're doing a lot more putting our recruitment materials in Spanish. We're having Spanish-speaking recruitment events, and those have been very, very well received by our communities around Southeast Idaho. And so we're continuing to do those activities and working with students and families. And one of the things that we know about a lot of our Latinx or Hispanic students, excuse me, is that many of them will be the first in their family to go to college. So a lot of the work that we're going to do will be to support our Latinx or Hispanic students, but also our first generation students. And there's quite a bit of research that would say work we do to support first generation students actually ends up helping all students. because they're just good practices for student success. So some of the things that we're going to be looking at as we move forward are what are the best practices of Hispanic serving institutions. And there's been a lot of research done in this area, and we're going to try to find out what fits us and what fits our student body better. But what are we going to need to do in terms of academic coaching or academic advising a little bit better? One of the things is we're going to have to give students really clear pathways to success, and we do that now, and we've been building those pathways, but that's something that we're going to have to continue to really be good at and be clear about. When we have first-generation students come to college, we need to think a little bit about how do we change our language? If we talk about the registrar's office, how many people knew what a registrar's office was before you were a college student? We use weird language in higher education that a lot of times our first generation students struggle with disproportionately because it's not something that they've had the same level of exposure to. So how we talk about processes that students are supposed to engage in or complete, the types of supports that we give them. There's a different type of high-touch support that first generation or Hispanic students are going to need. And as our population changes, we're going to have to look at how we do some of this. A lot of times it's not just working with an individual student, but also their families. And family mean something different to different groups of people. So we're going to be looking at how do we do this? How do we really provide holistic wraparound support through recruitment all the way through graduation into being alums of our institution. The process that we're going to use to do this is through our strategic enrollment management process. So some of you are engaged in that process, and we've asked you to participate in SEM, Strategic Enrollment Management Process. But we're going to be developing a work group focused on becoming a Hispanic serving institution. And we're going to look at all the issues from recruitment through support and matriculation. A lot of times we look at strategic enrollment management as getting students here, just recruitment. That's not the way that we're approaching it. We're looking at both recruitment and retention. We don't want to bring students here just to lose all the success that we've had in our retention rates and in the student success pieces. And so that's the mechanism that we're going to be utilizing. We also have the Dean of Students Office is putting some proposals and some ideas together for what we can do to increase our support of first generation students moving forward. And those are some things that I hope you'll see rolling out over the next year. That I'm also really excited about. So these are really high level ideas, and we're starting to put groups together to look at how does this work for the people interacting with our students? What's this going to mean for our faculty, for our academic departments? And so as we have those strategies or as we need ideas, we're going to be engaging many of you in these conversations. And I'm especially excited to be here today because as we have done some just analysis of what are our students' interests. For our Hispanic or Latinx students, if we look at the top 10 majors that they're choosing as they come to Idaho State University, 8 of those 10 are in the health sciences. And so the work that you do is incredibly important to what our Latinx students and their families want in terms of their future. And what we hear from a lot of those students is they want to come here and get an education. They want to go back into their communities and serve their communities in a health science focused profession, which is incredibly important to me. That is one of the reasons I wanted to come to Idaho State University, is to help Idahoans get an education to go back and improve their communities. So like I said, this is something I'm really, really passionate about and excited about. So thank you so much for giving me a few minutes to come and chat today. This is something that you're going to be hearing a lot more about in the coming months. But if I've said something that you're interested in or curious about, please don't hesitate to send me an email, and I will do my best to answer your questions with what I can. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thanks, Craig. He's going elk hunting, so he's not. Are you sure you don't want a taco for the road? Okay. I know that many of you are interested in this topic, and I know that many of our students are interested in being a part of this. So as we hear about more initiatives related to HSI, I would be, and I have heard from some of you about how can we help? How can we be involved in this? How can our students be involved as we roll out these sort of more formal programs to promote this? We'll absolutely be back in touch to talk about how we can engage. Next, Nicole Joseph's here, and Nicole is Director of Admissions and Recruitment, and there's, I guess, a new approach, or at least a tweak to some of our approaches related to recruitment, and Experience the Roar is the title of that, and she's going to provide us with some orientation and background on these programs, when they're happening, and how we can be a part of that. So thanks, Nicole.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. And I just wanted to go back to the HSI for just a second. And if any of you are interested in being part of that working group as part of the SEM process, I would let Rex know, and then he can pass that along to Craig and Corey to get you invited to be on that group, because I think we need individuals, A, who are passionate about it, and B, who maybe have some knowledge of how we can better serve our students and become an HSI institution. So yeah, that's my little plug for that. So, but really what I want to talk about is Experience the Roar, which is a new initiative this year for our recruitment events. So many of you may be familiar with Experience ISU. We used to do that the very last Friday in October. We would invite seniors and juniors to come to campus. They would pick 2 programs of interest. They'd go spend about 45 minutes to an hour in that program to kind of get more information and see what that program is like. And then they'd come and do other things on campus as well. We've been reviewing like the data on that, and just really thinking about and talking about how that event has been going, and is it really providing us the ROI that we'd like to see? And really it's become kind of stagnant. We've been doing it since 2014, and it just really wasn't giving us what we thought it should be giving us. And same for our students. Like, you know, were the students experiencing what we wanted them to experience on campus? And at the same time, President Wagner approached Craig and Corey about these open house ideas, doing regional open houses out in the various communities where we would take ISU on the road, basically. And so that's what we're going to do, and that's what it's called, is Experience the Roar. And it's an open house style format, and we will be doing one here in Pocatello, Meridian, Twin Falls, and Idaho Falls. The structure of it, or of the event, really is more of an open house style. So we will do a brief presentation starting about 7:15, where we just do a real quick overview of ISU so they know what we have to offer, right? Talk about our scholarship grid and the application process real quick. And then we do have a student from each of those areas that will give a quick student testimonial and talk about visiting campus. And then what we will do is open it up to where they will get to walk around the room and talk to all the different departments and resources that have come along with us to get more information about the areas that they're interested in. And so we would love your participation in these events. If you would like to come and host a table at each of the events, that would be fantastic. Please know that because this is new and we kind of have put it together kind of last minute, and we haven't had the chance to really market the event like we do some of our other events like Bengal Visit Day and things like that, that we don't expect attendance at these events to be very high this year. And the president has said that he would like us to do these events for the next 2 to 3 years before we really evaluate the success of these events, because he knows that it kind of takes some time to get things up and running before you really see what the return on that is like. So that is Experience the Roar. So our call to action for them that night is to actually schedule an individualized campus visit where they will come to campus and experience campus for themselves through an individualized tour. We would like to set them up with their department, right, to go in and meet with their department, a faculty member, see the labs, classroom, all that sort of stuff, and then meet with an admissions professional as well. We are incentivizing the campus visit, coming for a campus visit with either tickets to one of the sporting events or a theater performance to try and get them to come to campus. So that's our call to action for the Experience the Roar events, to try and get them to come here for an individualized campus visit, because that return on investment is 87%. So 87% of our students that come and visit campus, we get here at ISU. And so it's one of our largest ROIs, and we want to capitalize on that. And then we are saying the timeline for a Bengal, right? So Amplify the Roar, which is coming to either Idaho Scholars or HereCon ISU, participate in academic signing days, all the other types of events that we have throughout the year. Feel the roar at Bengal Visit Day, because that's such a very high energetic, fun day on campus, and then build their roar at NSO. So that's kind of the timeline of our recruitment events for the year and what we kind of want a student to kind of travel on, knowing that they will participate at any point along the way. So they don't have to follow this directly, but that's what we'd like them to do. So any questions about Experience the Roar, recruitment, anything I can answer for you today? All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for letting me come. Thanks.
Okay, well, before we step into the rest of the afternoon and the information that I have to share, wanted to look back on graduation. It's obviously a very, very busy time, and we don't necessarily get an opportunity to reflect on that accomplishment, both of our students, but our faculty and staff and the whole team we have here at the DHS. But we had outstanding representation at graduation. There were 2,129 graduates. 873 were in the health sciences. That's 41%. And that's the first time that health sciences have been over 40% of the graduates here at ISU. So I think that's really something to be proud of. It's a lot of work to see these students through to completion. A lot of work for them, a lot of work for all of us. And we certainly should celebrate that. So pretty exciting from last spring. The agenda today is here. We're going to talk a little bit about hiring and some of the open searches, some other projects that the division and we're working on within some of the academic units. I have a little bit of enrollment updates, facilities updates, and updates from our advising and faculty senate teams. And then we'll talk a little bit more about budget at the end of the time today. We have announcements, and we had, I think, half a dozen or so submitted questions, so I'll do my best to try to answer those. What's wrong? Oh, okay. That's a good idea. Sorry, Meridian. Okay. Okay, we're going to, Meridian and online, we're going to share from a different machine because we're having difficulty sharing from the one that I'm presenting from. So give us just a moment. We're good? Okay. Oh, and I can see it on the screen now too. Thanks, Amber. There are several leadership searches that I think people are at least curious about what the status of, and I just wanted to provide you with a little bit of an update there. We have an open position for Associate Dean and Director of the School of Nursing. We had a failed search that ended over the summer, and so we just met with our nursing colleagues this week. Dean Bargan and I did, just to kind of get some input from them on directions for the search, different directions, perhaps tweaks to the job description and the different qualifications of the applicants, to be able to really hone in on getting a strong applicant pool to be able to consider for the Associate Dean and Director position. So we're going to take those comments, make those tweaks, and we're going to re-advertise this position. We are working with the search firm on this search, and they will be helping us through that process through fall semester. The Department Chair and Program Director for the Department of Physical Therapy and Athletic Training, that search is ongoing. We very similarly had a failed search over the summer, and they are in the process of screening some additional applicants for that position. And then in our Department of Health and Wellness, our department chair is retiring. That's Dr. Jonathan Cree, retiring at the end of this semester, and so we'll be kicking off the search process for that. The dean position for the College of Health, that search will not occur until we have a new provost on board. And so really the president, we have several dean positions that are vacant, Dean of the College of Education, COSE, as well as College of Health. And the president wants the new provost to be able to have input into that search and into those dean searches, I should say, and the College of Health is included in that. So the provost search is ongoing. I sit on that search committee, and there are several of you here that also serve on that committee. We're in the process of screening applicants for the provost search to have screening interviews and then in-person interviews still yet this fall semester, so that offer hopefully can be extended. Once that person is in seat, then these dean searches will progress. I will say that the Dean of Science and Engineering is moving along in the interim. That's due to other factors of just wanting to get somebody hired into that position very, very soon. There are a couple updates to AHEC. Chris Owens out of the divisional office is the new director of the Idaho AHEC program office. And their main focus right now is onboarding a new site, a new center for South Central Idaho in Twin Falls that'll be housed by Family Health Services. Dr. Owens is also working on supporting a new cohort of AHEC scholars, and so we'll be reaching out, if he hasn't already, to all of our programs with eligible students to be able to build that cohort for the upcoming cycle. I also want to acknowledge that Diana Scow has been serving in this role for a long time. She's stepped aside to go back to some teaching and other functions within the Department of Community and Public Health, and really appreciate, Diana, your work on getting AHEC to where it is today, and really having and supporting a nice handoff to Chris along the way. Thanks, Diana. This year also marks the second year of funding from the Blue Cross of Idaho Foundation to help support the AHEC functions related to pathing students and creating interest in the health professions, really from junior high all the way through high school. And so this is an important effort that AHEC is working on as well, and we really appreciate the funding that comes from the Blue Cross Foundation. There are a couple things going on with ICOM that I wanted to update all of you on. This is the College of Osteopathic Medicine that sits on our Meridian campus. They are looking to increase the class size of physicians that they're training, and that comes with added commitments from the university because we collaborate with them in several different areas. And one of the biggest is utilization of the anatomy and physiology lab. So the Treasure Valley Anatomy and Physiology Lab, we are in the middle of working through a project to expand that lab and to be able to accommodate not only the growth of ICOM, but the expected growth of many of our programs over the coming years on the Meridian campus. The other thing that we're working with ICOM on are affiliate faculty appointments. Our Office of Research here at ISU is looking at ways that we can increase our research collaboration with ICOM. And because they are at present a for-profit institution, their faculty are not necessarily eligible for a lot of different types of funding. However, if they were to have an appointment with ISU, that would create opportunities for them. And there are many faculty at ICOM that are interested in working with NIH or NSF or other federal funding mechanisms. And so one of the things that our office in the division and the Office of Research are working on is creating a pathway for affiliate faculty appointments for ICOM so that they would then be eligible for applying for affiliate faculty appointments at ISU so that they'd be eligible for some of these funding opportunities. With that comes, I think, additional opportunities to partner with ICOM for teaching bidirectionally. They like ISU, have turnover in their faculty, and I think there are some opportunities for us to teach for them and them potentially to teach for us. So I'm just bringing that up so that we're all keeping in mind the potential to leverage the expertise that's right across the small street there on the Meridian campus, and they are doing the same. And so you may hear from us about the opportunity to potentially collaborate, guest lecture, and we may even be looking at co-funding faculty positions and things like that in the future. So this relationship with ICOM, we expect to continue to, I guess, mature over time, and I want all of you to think about ways that we could potentially work with ICOM. And obviously, just because they're across the state and on the Meridian campus doesn't mean that they couldn't potentially teach or do research with folks on this campus. All right, a few enrollment updates. I got a lot of facts and figures here, and most all of them are really very positive. This is enrollment for the university as a whole. These are 10th day numbers, which is one of our censuses. It's not census day, but it is one of the times that we sample the student body. Total enrollment is 10,088, which is up 95 students or 1%. And that's the highest university 10th day enrollment since fall of 2017. The undergraduate degree seeking enrollment is up 308 students. And I think if you walk around campus here on the main campus, you actually can feel the increased numbers of students up by 4.2%. Highest enrollment since fall of 2018. Graduate enrollment is also up 10 students, which is 0.4%. And dual enrollment is actually down at this point. But you should know that not all the dual enrollment students are enrolled quite yet. That happens sometimes a little slower at some of the high schools. So dual enrollment levels we expect to come up a little bit as the semester progresses. Just to see the trends, these are the 3-year trends from fall of 22 to fall of 24. You can see the overall total enrollment is up about 5.5%, undergraduate up 10.7%. Graduate is a little flatter, but still up a bit, about 22 students since 2022. And professional students, those are our PharmD students, are down a bit over that time period. There are also, I think, some other, I guess, more granular looks at enrollment. And new first-time undergraduate students are up. This is the highest number, 1796, since the fall of 2014. Undergraduate transfer students are also up almost 8%. And continuing undergraduate enrollment, this is retention really, is up 241 students year over year. This is the highest single year increase in continuing undergraduate students since Banner, since we've been collecting data really, which is 2010. There is also really good news related to significant increases in undergraduate full-time students, students that are taking, a full course load. We frequently have lots of students that are taking a course or two as freshmen. The number of students taking a full-time course load at the university is up 17% since 2022, which is really good, that these students are going to be progressing at a more rapid rate through the system, and retention is typically higher in that student population that are taking a full course load as well. So that's, I think, very positive as well. Just some additional enrollment data you can see here. Continuing undergraduates are up from 4612 to 4955. That's again those retention efforts. New first-time students are up nearly 30% since 2022. And then this is by college, and you can see the enrollment growth is really all the way across the university. But look at the College of Health increasing by approximately 300 students in that time period. We know when we look at the data, pre-professional nursing, BS and HS, pre-dental hygiene, pre-rad science, and frankly, biology and psychology are in there too. Many of those are pre-health students as well, are all in the top 10 or 12 majors. So really exciting numbers for the College of Health. And I know you all and our advising office and are feeling the effects of this increased enrollment. This shows the 10-day enrollment trend. You can see that we were on a decline. The lower part of the curve here where the black numbers continue is our projections based upon the decline that had been occurring over many years. You can see going back over 10 years. But the curve has a significant inflection point in 2021, and you can see that we are now, when we look at undergraduate non-dual credit enrolled students, we're sitting at a really nice number, and a number we hadn't seen since 2018 or 2019. Any questions about enrollment or anything like that? I'm going to transition and talk a little bit about facilities. Anybody online have any questions about that? Okay. A lot of stuff happening with facilities. You can feel the entire building shaking while we're having lunch here, right? Obviously that's probably work out on the parking lot. There's work on the parking lot here by the admin building, over by physical science and business. In fact, business and some of those buildings over there didn't have air conditioning a good portion of the summer. We've had a couple interruptions in power, water, and internet because of the construction that's occurring on campus. I talked to Brian Sagendorf this week. There are 211 projects slated for work on campus. Now, those are small ones to big ones, and there are some really substantial ones that are in process. Much of it is infrastructure. You know, we may not see it once they fill in the holes that they're digging all around campus, but we will feel it when we have a good heat plant for the next 20 years, and the heat plant is one of those projects. The Campus Master Planning Committee has also been doing a lot of work to come up with a master plan. There's a consulting group called the Smith Group that's been very involved with this process. I think many of you have attended some of those sessions to provide input. I have another slide here. There's going to be additional, I guess, town hall type meetings to be able to learn more about the campus master plan. This is a 20 to 30 year plan that will hopefully guide the development that occurs on campus. I know that President Wagner is very interested in seeing progress on this master plan. A life sciences building is really at the very top of the list. There's substantial work going to happen in health sciences facilities as well. Some of that's already happening. We got surprised just last week about some of the work that they want to do in the School of Nursing building in Beckley, because there's real needs in a lot of our facilities. The Leonard Hall remodel with the College of Pharmacy is coming along nicely, and I think move-in's going to start sometime just after Christmas. Isn't that right, Tom? It won't be till June. Okay, sorry. I was being overly optimistic. For some reason, I thought there was some of that. Okay, so lower level done in March with occupancy in June for those of you online. The 23 acres in Meridian, there's been a team working on this with the city of Meridian, and Dean Bargan has been very involved in this. 23 acres needed to be annexed into the city of Meridian. There's a whole bunch of steps that have to be taken to be able to begin development of that property. There's work with the irrigation district. There's work with traffic flow. We did get some indication from the City Council of Meridian that we need to readdress how traffic will flow in and out of those 23 acres, because we're expecting, at least over time, that that area right around the Health Science Center will grow. Those of you that have been over there know that there's a whole nother high school on the grounds there with the art and music charter school that's there. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the name of that. And so there's a lot of ongoing work with our facilities team and leadership on the Meridian campus to continue the planning and the paperwork and the applications that need to happen to develop the 23 acres in Meridian. I've already mentioned the expansion of the anatomy and physiology lab with the ICOM partnership. We also have had the opportunity just this week. We had a day and a half to apply for some funds through the governor's office to potentially support growth in high demand health programs. We don't know if we're going to get funded on that, but we put together a real quick application to help with the infrastructure that we need to have, particularly high-tech infrastructure for some of our programs. And we'll find out if we are successful with that funding here in the next few weeks. The Family Medicine Clinic building has a minor remodel going on. We're now starting to occupy the Human Development building on this campus. That's right across from Holt Arena, traditionally occupied by Health and Welfare. And I'll talk about it in a minute. Our new Community Psychiatric Center is up and running in that building, and ISU will take over ownership of that entire building in the fall of 2025. So I think there's some opportunities for us to look at how the spaces that were currently occupied might be better off in other facilities on campus. The Roy F. Christensen building is also in the midst of a lot of planning for health programs, and we've gotten almost over $20 million for medical lab science and the PA program to have substantial space remodels for supporting those programs, and that will occur in the Roy F. Christensen building. And there's Dean Wadsworth in the College of Pharmacy. It's not quite ready to move in. You're right, Tom. Just a little bit more about the campus master plan. As I said, this is really developing a framework for future concepts on campus. There are a couple of things that I think are really key to that. One is we're looking at ways that we can have more on-campus housing for students, whether that's with public-private partnerships or with the university bonding for that space. That is something that's going to be a priority. There's also a lot of emphasis on connecting the university to Pocatello and through a corridor that would move down to, and when I say connecting it to Pocatello, I'm really talking about Old Town Pocatello, and developing more living, learning, and eating establishments and other things in the area around campus. So that's a part of this plan and a part of the development that may occur, particularly around 4th and 5th, and into I guess I'd call it sort of the warehouse district along 2nd and over the top of the Benton overpass. The university took down some space on, I think it was on 5th, where the old housing office was. That property may be developed either by the university or made for sale or partnership with a public-private partnership if there's interest in housing or developing that in some other way. So there's things happening. Obviously, this kind of development happens slowly, but that's a big part of the master plan. The other thing is looking at the Martin Luther King corridor and making that more of a pedestrian pathway up to Upper Campus, maybe not having vehicles drive in that area, and changing some of the areas around Reed Gym, Garrison and Turner, and that sort of thing, with a life sciences building being a central part of really main campus at some point, hopefully in the fairly near future. It's really important for biological sciences and their department, their research, but also the pipeline for students into the health sciences programs, because we have significant limitations in the current Yale Life Sciences building. There's a website, isu.edu/campus plan, if you want to look into this more. And then there are some additional master plan presentations. There's one on Monday at the Alumni Center, 3:15 to 5 p.m. or 5:15 p.m. And then there's a town hall on October 2nd. There's Zoom information here, and we can get that to you if you're interested in attending the town hall on Wednesday, October 2nd, with the Smith Group and our facilities folks about the campus master plan. And I'd encourage people from all campuses to do this, because they will talk about Meridian and the development in Meridian and Idaho Falls and our other campus locations. Okay, a few advising updates. There are some renewed or new partnerships with the Office of Academic Advising and our academic advisor program in the pre-health team. We have Sarah that just joined and will be focusing on advising in pre-OT, pre-PT, and pre-PA. Karen Fulmer has participated in a lot of education and training and actually presented sessions at Student Development Theory and Advising Conference, where there were a lot of other attendees from other Idaho institutions, really talking about the ways that we can connect and collaborate on our advising. We have been working very hard, and Chris Owens and the folks in the pre-health office, Dana Gaudet on the Meridian campus, have been really working on our pathways and connections with other institutions in the state, whether it's community colleges or the four-year institutions, to really make sure that we're fulfilling our statewide mission and being able to path students into the programs that they're doing their pre-professional work in. And so that's been a really, really important focus over the last few months, as this group has really been ramping up their efforts in that way. They also are partnering with our admissions visitor center and recruitment for future events, and working with Amber to create some new materials for recruiting and retention. So appreciate your work there. Okay, I think Dave is in Meridian. Dave, are you able to provide a quick Faculty Senate update? Oh, he's going up? Okay. I can't see the room. I can just see my slides here.
You're on. Very good. Yes, so don't have much of an update. The Faculty Senate just got back together in September. We've had a couple meetings so far. Nothing specific to report, but we do have some open positions that I wanted to talk about. The first one is we need a person to fill a seat on the Academic Integrity Council. That needs to be a College of Health specific one. And then we have two seats open for the General Education Requirements Committee, and that can be anybody from KDHS. We have one for AIC right now, but none for the GERC so far. So please take a look at these, think about if anybody can participate in these. We need those councils and committees for Faculty Senate to operate very well, and you can reach out to any of the senators to if you have any questions about requirements and so forth. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thanks, David. Just a reminder, these are your senators that you can contact. These are good service opportunities for faculty, and so we encourage everyone to consider serving on any of these committees that Dave's been talking about. Okay, a little info about our grants and contracts. We always try to keep track of this. Our trends for this year are a few fewer awards received. We've had some really strong years, and I'm thinking that people are working on multi-year projects perhaps, and our awards received are down a little bit. Paralleling that is a bit of a decrease in the dollars received. You know, some of this from 21, 22, and even into 23 were COVID-related projects where there was substantial funding available, and we can see that the grants received in FY24 are down a little bit. I want to transition and talk a little bit about budget because there are some changes coming to budget. The real, I think, focus that our Office of Finance and Jen Steele, who's our Chief Fiscal Officer at the university, really are outlined here in some of the principles that she's put forth. We want people to know and understand what's going on with the budget. So trust and transparency and inclusivity in the budget process is really something that Jen wants to focus on, and we want to focus on as well. If you have questions about budget, we're happy to find answers for you. Obviously, the goal of this is to maximize university resources and to really make decisions informed by data, our strategic plans, and our priorities. The budget structures really should foster innovation and stewardship, but also include empowerment, mutual accountability, responsiveness, and adaptation, because we always have things that come up during the year, new opportunities or new crises that might occur that we need to address. So I just want to emphasize that the budget for many years was sort of a black box that we didn't really know or understand. That is not the way we want to handle things. So your leadership at the department level, at the dean level, and at the divisional level, we are happy to talk about budget and have everyone understand just exactly what's going on. Joe and his team are also available. I know that many of you meet with them regularly to talk about things. So what's gone on with the budget? We've got 3 straight years of enrollment growth, and that's really important. This is coupled with a 10.9% increase in student retention. We've seen increases in endowment funds, Bengal Giving Day, and increases in research expenditures across the university. All those are very positive. We are also developing, and many of you have heard about this and even seen demonstrations, expanded data sets and analytical tools to help us make decisions about budget priorities. We've had stable operating and irregular budgets. Now, in some cases, our operating budgets have gone away over time, so stability on a budget that goes away is sort of an oxymoron. But we also have seen a substantial reduction in our functional budget deficit. And so that was really manifested last year. Enrollment growth and the work that we did on reducing expenditures at the university resulted in a $9.2 million, or 60% of our functional budget deficit was reduced last year. The university is in a strong financial position, and that's manifested by this stable bond rating. So just to summarize on this slide, it shows you that our FY base budget, we went into this year thinking we had to solve for a $15.7 million functional budget deficit. The plan is to, with current salary savings, other budget optimization initiatives, divisional reductions across the university, different units, and an increase in tuition revenue, that we're needing to solve about a $6.5 million budget deficit. Now, not all of that will necessarily be done this year, and not all of that will be done out of academic programs. Only a portion of that is going to be done with academic programs. So how are we going to move forward as an institution to address our budget situation and put us in a position where we can respond to opportunities? President Wagner, just in the last week or so, has talked about opportunity-aligned resourcing. And really what this is focusing on a strategic framework for the university that is coupled to or joined with the strategic plan. So it aligns university resources with opportunities that are really lead to accomplishing our mission. And this is a process that integrates expertise throughout the university and will strengthen the university in the end. These are the 5 areas where opportunity-aligned resource will focus. It's enrollment growth and student success, our academic and research focus, advancing our physical infrastructure to make sure that we've got that foundation for the institution, maximizing our external relationships and partnerships, and President Wagner has been very focused on this, both with the legislature but also with our alumni base, and employee engagement, empowerment, and connection, working on making sure that ISU continues to be a good place to work and that people feel engaged and empowered in the directions that we're going. So the resourcing, as I said, is tied to the strategic plan. It's influenced by our enrollment and the net tuition revenue that we receive. We also have going on a variety of different budget optimization initiatives. We're utilizing data to help support the decisions that we make and recognizing where we can be more efficient. And we want to continue to make strategic investments in program growth and for the most part, our programs are going to be on the opportunity side of this equation. It's telling us our internet connection is unstable. Hopefully you guys are hearing us.
We concur.
You concur, huh? All right, well, we're sorry about that. It's probably all the construction that's going on over here in Pocatello. I'm going to skip ahead and just talk about a couple of other things. Are you guys hearing me okay now?
Yes, sir. We got you.
Okay, thanks. There have been several dashboards developed by Institutional Resource and our finance teams to be able to pull together looks at enrollment and net tuition revenue and be able to report and analyze those data at all the way down at the class level, individual classes and sections. And so this is really going to help us in putting together the data that's necessary to make decisions about the directions for the university and this opportunity-aligned resource management and budgeting. The dashboards also help with mission fulfillment and benchmark us in administrative and service units, so places like facilities or other parts of the university that are designed to support the academic mission. It also helps us with our budget model data set, and there are dashboards also being developed for research for PIs to be able to look at. The provost has done a listening tour and a presentation tour looking at the academic program analytics, and he came to our last administrative council meeting in the Division of Health Sciences and presented information and sort of the rationale behind the analytical dashboards that are out there. It really is just utilizing the data that we have to be able to make better and more sound decisions. So the goal of all of this is to gain a clear sense of what's occurring, what opportunities might be open, and how we get there. Because we will have to make decisions about how we prioritize and shift funding, in essence, to respond to opportunities for growth. It's a long-term approach, and it will involve changes to how we hire in the future. And so this semester, later this semester, there is going to be a personnel workflow that's developed. Hiring managers will be empowered to help make recommendations based on consistent criteria and data that assure that we resource things properly with the university's goals and priorities and opportunities in mind. The details of this will be rolled out and communicated as we move through the semester. There'll be town halls and discussions with finance and academic affairs, and we'll be supporting that discussion along the way. Any questions about budget? I will say that the hiring pause is pretty much going away. It's going to be more focused on the stuff that I've just talked about. How are we utilizing an analytical approach to hiring moving forward? Okay, any questions about that? All right, we've got a few announcements. I mentioned the Community Psychiatric Center. This clinic opened in July and is open to the public. There's a psychiatrist staffing that clinic. There are psychiatry residents present there, and we're currently searching for counselors to be working in that clinic. Bengal Pharmacy, we had a great grand opening at the Chubbuck location last night. They've also opened a location in McCammon in August, and the hours and locations of those clinics and the pharmacies are here. There's going to be a grand rounds on Monday. The topic will be new approaches to HIV and STI prevention, and the presenters are listed here from Community and Public Health and Department of Family Medicine and Pharmacy. Indigenous Peoples Day is on October 14th. Please participate and encourage your students to participate as you can. This year's celebration is entitled We Are Still Here, Tradition and Transformation. This is the 6th Collaborative Indigenous Peoples Day with the Shoshone-Bannock tribes. Health Science Experience Night in Meridian is October 15. Dana Gaudet is the contact, and in Pocatello it will be in the spring with more information to follow. Thomas Geriatric Symposium, Building Age-Friendly Communities for Older Adults is the theme, October 9, here at the Pond Student Union, and in Meridian on the 16th at the Health Science Center there. PI, the Program for Instructional Effectiveness, run out of the Office of Academic Affairs, has several different events on their schedule for the fall. There's an ITRC Canvas session that's October 17th. There's a Wellness and Self-Care on November 8th, and Syllabus Support is the theme for November 20, and that's in the Sargent boardroom with Zoom also. Doug McGee, who's the new Director of Teaching and Learning and Assessment, is the coordinator and the contact for those events. So I kind of rushed here at the end because I wanted to get to some of our questions. These are some of the questions that were submitted, and so I wanted to save a minute or two. I don't know how much time I have to go through this. One of the questions was, will there be an option to become a certified and licensed anesthesiologist without seeking a doctorate? This is something I'm interested in after obtaining my current degree. Anesthesiologists, strictly speaking, are physicians, so they've gone to medical school and then do an anesthesia residency. We will be starting next fall a nurse anesthetist program. That's a 3-year doctoral level program that our nursing team and Shad Westover, who is our lead nurse anesthetist faculty member, have created. That's been approved by the state board. We're having accreditation visit this fall. And as I said, if everything goes according to plan, and there's been a lot of planning involved, there will be the ability for someone who has a nursing degree to move into the nurse anesthetist program. Typically, that's someone who's had several years of experience, and as I understand it, usually those are nurses that have worked in intensive care settings and other inpatient acute care settings before they then move into the nurse anesthetist program, and I'm seeing Gina nod, so I'm describing it at least somewhat right. But there is not an option for someone to become an anesthesiologist without going to medical school. There are other anesthesia sort of technical positions that are out there. And Melody, you have your hand up? Yep. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, so there's a terminology issue within the disciplines, right? Seems like there is frequently, right? And as Melody's explaining to me, that nurse anesthetists are also using or proposing to use the word anesthesiologist in their title, and that is creating a little bit of this confusion. Okay, all right. Is there a timeline for filling the College of Health Dean position permanently? I think I addressed that. With IT about making sure we can have, can you guys hear me again? Meridian and online, can you guys hear me
Yes.
now?
Yep, you're
We
back.
got you back, yeah.
Okay, sorry. We'll work on this for the next assembly because it's not acceptable to have this drop. Question was about salary compression. This happens all the time. You know, it's a very competitive marketplace for practitioners. We try, and every year we work with the Office of Finance at looking at our salaries, looking at what the competition is out in the community for people of the disciplines from which our faculty are derived. We spend a lot of time trying to adjust salaries and create a sense of fairness. We've worked extensively with the nursing team, for example, over the past couple of years to look at our salaries. We know that we don't have equity everywhere, and we know that there are times where we're bringing in junior faculty at a substantial salary that then creates compression immediately. That's partly driven by the marketplace. It's partly driven by the fact that we don't have as much flexibility within the state system to give raises, right? We go through the whole discussion around, you know, how much raise we're going to be allocated every year by the legislature. And so that compression is real. We absolutely try to work on that, and we try to address it with promotions. And if we need to make wholesale changes across the base, we try to do that as well. So I don't know exactly where this question came from. Actually, 2 people asked questions about salary compression. I would suggest that we talk to your department chair and to your dean, and then we will have conversations with Joe and his team, and we'll do an analysis of where we are with salaries, recognizing that we have constraints and we have policies and procedures that also sometimes get in the way here. But we absolutely know this is an issue, and I'll commit to all of you that we'll continue to work on this over time. We don't have an easy fix, and we can't wave a magic wand in every situation, but we absolutely want to know where this is happening and want to address it. Okay, now what do I need to do to advance? Okay. Here's another question that came through. How can we increase applications and enrollment in the College of Pharmacy? Well, the College of Pharmacy asks that question of themselves 6 times a day, right, Cynthia? At least. The current environment for pharmacy recruitment is very, very challenging. There's been an increase in numbers of schools of pharmacy and a very substantial, nearly 50% decrease in the number of students interested in pharmacy across the country. So this is not just an issue that's happening at the ISU College of Pharmacy. This is happening in really every College of Pharmacy across the country. It's a very significant challenge, and it's happened before, back in the 1970s and early 80s in pharmacy, where there's been a dip in interest in pharmacy. And we think that we're going to see, and there are some early indications, Tom has told me, of increasing numbers and interest in pharmacy. We know that there are workforce needs. If you look at hot jobs and other things, there are definitely lots of jobs for pharmacists out there and lots of opportunities for our students. But I think part of it is the industry of pharmacy and what students see as a pharmacist working in a corner drugstore at Walgreens or wherever and working very, very hard in those kinds of working conditions becomes a little bit of a stereotype of what pharmacy is, and we know that it can be very, very different, like many of our disciplines, lots of opportunities. And you know, we're doing a lot of things, and the team is doing a lot of things in a multi-pronged approach to try to address enrollment. We're seeing some changes that could lead to increased enrollment in subsequent years, but it's a very challenging environment right now for pharmacy. One of the other questions came up. I'm very concerned about the size of the College of Health, and you guys saw the numbers. College of Health is bigger than 2 or 3 or 4, depending on which colleges you add up. It's bigger than multiple other colleges. And in fact, you could take business and Cal, and it would be about the same size as the College of Health. So many of you know, who have been here several years, know that we had multiple colleges for a short period of time. Previous President Kevin Satterley wanted to reduce some of the administrative oversight, and I think there were political pressures and just concerns about administrative bloat on campus. Faculty and faculty senate bring this up pretty commonly, and we were shrunk administratively, but created this very large College of Health. That is a lot to handle. You know, Dean Bargan has gotten more than she bargained for when it comes to looking at the volume of work that comes with a large college like the College of Health. So I guess from my perspective, I'm very open to talking about this administrative structure. It was nice to have a College of Nursing. It was nice to have a College of Rehabilitation and Communication Sciences and a College of Health or Health Professions as a third college. Many of those colleges were still bigger than colleges that exist currently on campus, if you look at student numbers, faculty numbers, whatever metric you want to look at. I haven't had conversations with the new president about that. I also think that that's something that a new provost would want to weigh in on, that kind of organizational structure. But I would be happy to rekindle those conversations moving forward if there's enough interest in that within the division. Is that my last slide? I think that's my last slide. Any other questions that people have? There's two more? Oh, okay. It didn't advance for me, sorry. How can we better prepare our own undergraduates for our PA program so we can increase the number of ISU undergraduates admitted to PA? I think that's a great question. When we talk about pipelines, we make all of these connections out in the community to PATH students. We sometimes neglect our own students on campus. And how do we best PATH students into any of our programs, not just the PA program? I think it would be great to hear from the PA program, not right now, but our advising folks would, I think, love to hear from the PA program in terms of ways to make our own ISU students more competitive for that program. Evidently, somebody feels that that we could have some improvements in preparing our students for admission there. And the other question is there, and I know there's one more question actually, is there an update to the N95 mask fitting procedure? We talked about this at our last HSAC. Chris Owens has worked with some of the programs on this, so I would refer whoever's asking this question, or if any of your programs have concerns about the N95 mask fitting procedure, to talk to Chris, and we'll get that sorted out. And then there was one more question about HIPAA compliance. My understanding is students still need to do the Moodle training for HIPAA compliance, and that the city training is not sufficient, that we need to have the Moodle training done. So I don't know which unit this question came from, but we absolutely can clarify that with Cindy Rock and with Misty Olmstead. That, I think, is the last slide. And if there are any questions from the live studio audiences, I'd be happy to try to answer those. Anything from Meridian or online or Alaska? Anything here? Okay, well, I thank you all for being here. As always, if things come up, please reach out to our office, and appreciate all the work you all are doing, and have a great rest of this semester. Thanks very much. Can I end?